from Oregon. Is that Scott? Scott, what are you doing? I hear you.
Bob.
Hey, Bob from Oregon's Constant Garden. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show. We're going to make one shot today is what you've told me. Is that correct?
Well, we're not because we're lazy and fat, but the youth are.
The kids these days.
Are going to be making it.
So you're going to watch them and describe what they're doing.
We're going to try. It's a loud machine, and our technology is about 2015. So
okay,
we'll head over there. Yeah, we're just getting some samples of one shot ready to ship off to the store.
Nice. Well,
that away here.
I am sure it's going to be noisy, so you'll just be Johnny and I'll be reverse Ed McMahon, where I'll just make it worse instead of making it better.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, we're ramping up for the season right now for one shot. Last year was a little crazy with the early purchase of it, so we're trying to get ahead. Like these right here, that's going to California to a farm. There's 4,000 pounds of one shot in those totes.
Now let me ask you about this. So you know the cars where they don't have the chips for the cars and they can't make any cars right now? It wasn't because there was a shortage. It was because they thought they were going to not make any and they canceled them all. And so, did you guys pull back and then get stuck, or did you like actually make as much as you normally do and there was actually more demand than you thought there'd be?
Last year was more demand, and that was the crazy thing because, the whole West Coast all went crazy and then the Midwest all went crazy at the same time. So, out of nowhere, I think we started that winter and into that spring, we made 1.5 times the amount we've ever made, and we still sold out by February. And we had a lot of bigger farms kind of miss the boat and then get frustrated because they couldn't get the 80 tons they wanted. And the downfall there was, even if I could get it, it was a matter of the shipping, lining up that much bone meal at the same time. It was and to get it to them by planting time, it just became an issue of supply shortage. So this year we jumped the gun and we bought all of our materials in the fall so that going into the spring we could start off with twice as much as we've ever made. And then we already have enough coming for the summer to hit the bloom cycle for those folks who do a top dress in August and September. We'll have a bunch of fresh one-shot in that time.
So you're going to have to do 2 batches. You're going to have to be in real time making this stuff throughout the season.
We do every year. It's 2 full weeks of actual just production. So they make, about 150 to 200 tons every 2 weeks. And then we'll wait again, and then July we'll do it again, and then they'll have about 100 tons ready for August and September.
Now, is there a shelf life with this?
As long as it dries nicely here and stores correctly, no, I mean, it's an organic meal as long as there's no moisture to it. It stays in stasis mode. Once it gets hydrated or any type of moisture, it activates the bacteria and the worm castings, and it activates the mycorrhizal fungi. They start to become active and want to start eating that pellet that they're living on. And we've seen it out in the field, like, poorly stored in a retail store, and they open up, there's mold in it. It's actually like high feed from the bacterial load we loaded that with, and the mycorrhiza trying to activate and find a root system to live off of. So it's usually just activated one shot at that point. Really, I have bags that are 5 years old. It's still bone meal, it's still feather meal, the proteins are all there. I mean, it's still viable, but the fresher the better.
Now, when you're making this stuff, I know it's kind of sticky when you're making it. It's got molasses or something, right? Do you have to make smaller batches, or are you making smaller batches by choice?
Well, good question. A little bit of both. Because of the molasses, and we use lignin as well. It's a lignin sulfonate, which is a binder. It's another sugar source from trees. But yes, what we found was making really big batches, we were just getting way too inconsistent on the NPK, even amounts of product from each pellet that we're trying to create, and we didn't want to put that out there at like 2-ton batches. It just became so inconsistent throughout the batch. We went back to a 1-yard cement mixer and we hand roll all this stuff because, every one of these, we just know that we've got this many batches to do. We have the perfect recipes, just like our soil. you know, we could scale up, we could grow much bigger for it, but we don't feel the product is going to maintain its consistent quality if we get any bigger doing this. I'd rather hire more hands to load these than buy a bigger machine and get less consistent.
Well, and not just bag to bag you were having inconsistency, but pellet to pellet. That it was like it wasn't mixing consistently in the big mixer.
No, when you put that much organic material with all those different weights, I mean, whether it's fine bone meal powder, whether it's the mycorrhiza, whether it's the mineral, the paramagnetic, they all want to stratify the longer it sits there blending. And if you're blending it long and you're throwing molasses in there, you can get like stratas of just pure bone, pure kelp, pure feather. And to me, that hurts you because you're not getting a good growth. You're not seeing what one shot can actually do because it's just poorly mixed. So we mix it so they're consistent all the time. Every batch is just a 1 yard batch, and you know, you'll see they have everything pre-measured. They spend a whole day just pre-measuring all the batches for that day, and all they do is just pick them up, throw them in, stir it, roll it, and then tote it.
So you're trying to microbrew Budweiser.
Yeah. Not so much. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. It's going to be okay. We were worried about the sound earlier. Yeah, I can hear you good. What do you got? Oh, so is that a new mixer from a while ago? It looks more high-tech.
It's a little dirtier. It's got more molasses on it, but it's the same mixer we've had now for about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
We used to rent them, but now we just probably bought one. We'll probably put another one into play when we get it in. Just do 2 mixers at a time, but currently with the staff they have, they can only load this thing as fast as they can.
Okay.
Break them. If they were loading 2, they would never stop moving or lifting weight.
Oh, they would, yeah, not sustainable.
Come here and see what they're doing. So we'll just walk through it real quick.
Okay.
I'll be able to hear it, and then you
just blah, blah, blah. Just tell us as you're doing it, what it's all about.
Sweet. I might actually just flip you around, too.
Okay. Yeah. This will be fun. We did this a while back, and so this will be neat to kind of see if it's changed any.
So that's the team that builds this stuff. As you can see, here's all the raw ingredients. Got your molasses, your lignin, your bone meals, your canes. You got all the elements, your feather meal, green, with all that. This guy has to pick up each bucket, walk it over.
Do you put the molasses in last? He probably can't hear me. Oh, that's...
Put the binder in. So molasses, or that's the lignin. That's basically Persephone's palate being one of the binders there. It's a great microbial food, short chain carbon. Works great, so if the bacteria wakes up on that product, it wants to start eating it immediately. That gives them that energy, and they start digesting all those different meals that are on there. Then release rate becomes almost, as soon as the bacteria wakes up, the release rate starts then. Don't know what that is. We make sure none of that goes in there. This guy's just weighing stuff all day because he loves what he does. You got the limestone, the celery clay, castings, milk, feather meal, kelp meal, seaweed. Oh, alfalfa. Ugh. So all of that's going to get converted into just these totes over here. There's the molasses, there's the lignin. We recycle all our totes. That's that apple cider vinegar. We don't put that in there. But in here, what they do now is then this whole warehouse on the floor is going to fill up with half totes. And then what they'll do for the next 2 weeks is every day come in here, because that lignin and the molasses is starting to dry. This will become like a shelf, and they have to literally sift it every day. Well, here's somewhere here they're sifting. This is the bone meal room, where they grind all their bone meal, but this is all one shot that's being processed and sifted. But they'll sift all this so keep it all aerated and then speed up the drying process. As you can see, it takes a lot of real estate to make this much. Lay it all out, because we don't air dry. We played with propane dryers, gas dryers, heat. And all we found was that it was harming our microbial life. Because when you're adding fire to dry down the molasses,
not great.
Off the microorganisms and the bacteria, so we decided not to.
So how do you sift it?
I'm trying to find their sifter. Where is it?
So you don't micromanage.
No, these guys, no. If I did that, we'd be out of business. The stuff these guys think about and do make their jobs easier, and then I don't have to think about it. Let me see.
So are we talking just like a tray with a screen on it?
All right, we gotta go look at that real quick. All right, I'm gonna show you the sifter.
Okay.
This is our soil storage warehouse here in for the Oregon customers. Look, more one shot. Jeez, these guys have been busy.
Good Lord.
So that's all bone meal there that gets processed into all this one shot here.
So everything on the shelf is the bone meal, but all this on the floor, that's all one shot. Oh, okay, here's the screens.
Yep.
Is that mechanized in any way, or do they just shake that?
Yep, it's a four arm power.
Oh my God. And how many times do they do that?
Guys, they both grab an end and they shake it, and it falls through back into the tote. It's horrible, but it's good work.
Yeah. Not for me or you. That would kill us.
What's that?
Not for me or you. That would kill us.
Oh, it'd make you wake up sore tomorrow, non-stop. That's why we try to knock it all out in like a week's time, just so it's not a constant battle all season long.
So how many times does it get sifted? Just the once, or?
Long enough until it stops binding together with itself.
Oh my God.
If it all gets stuck inside of itself, then it just becomes a giant cake and it's unmanageable. So they can just things super dry and then it won't cling together again.
So
they just emptied that one, so they're going to move it out of the way. Yeah.
So no one would do this.
I'm going to go and get out of here. Man. The iron. Frank's office, right up there. That's where people die.
So this is an absurd process. No one should do this. No reasonable businessman would make this product.
Quit and not come back. So these three guys should do this, but for the most part, people buy it so they don't have to do all that. It's definitely a lot of work and it's a lot of passion to want to sit in that warehouse for 5 days just mixing one shot, 1 yard at a time. It's a lot of work.
Wow. I'm blown away. We did this before a few years back, and I didn't see the magnitude of it at the time. I guess because you weren't making that much back then. You're making a lot, but this is like a whole other level.
Yeah, no, back then it was like, if we did 60 tons a year, it'd be a good year. But now we've got farms that will order close to that just for one farm. So it's making sure, it's tough to make that much, keep the employees happy and healthy, and keep the customers supplied. It's a tough gig there.
Yeah.
Now I'm back in the warehouse and it's nice and quiet. This is where the shipping side. Where'd you go, Bob?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. Done now.
Okay, I'm here. I'm just blown away. I'm speechless. That's something else.
Sweet.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think, I'd love to get some questions about our one shot from folks if they have any about it or testimonials on how it works. I know a lot of guys that are using the LEDs running nectar are finding that the one shot being top dressed in their soil is really helping them get past that hunger curve that LEDs are creating because they're so efficient with energy, and the plants are using the light so much more, or utilizing the light so much more, that we're finding our slurry tests are getting way down below the 200 mark because the plants are consuming everything through the lights. So with one shot added in there, it definitely builds in that reserve. It keeps the parts per million up a little bit in the soil, and the constant leaching, nectar products being dropped into the root zone for that plant to always be eating, so you get a lot less deficiencies or hunger issues. I've got a couple farms on the East Coast that outfitted all their spaces with these really nice LEDs, and man, we can barely keep them fed. And the only way we've been able to get over the hump with these is front loading the one shot for the flowering cycle, or we've converted a few of these farms into the 4-shot soil, which they just plant in it, that builds it already into there, and then they can feed their normal nectar regimen all through flowering with that reserve built in. You can make your own 4-shot virtually, kind of, just by adding in one. It's about 2 pounds a bag, but start with about a pound of one shot in a bag of number 4. You're halfway there to 4-shot.
Does that doesn't
carry 4-shot? You can get number 4 and some one shot and make your own pretty close to it for the sake of building in that nutrient reserve for higher end lights.
So the 4-shot is not just about addressing the feeding of it, a backstop, but also some alkalinity issues, correct? So if you don't have alkalinity issues, would you be better off with some number 4 and some 1-shot? Or am I wrong about that?
Well, the nice thing with the 4-shot is we've reduced the pH creating limestone, and we put in the calcite as more of an alkalinity charge. So you're not going to have nearly the pH issues, but yes, if your water is high alkaline water, you're in eastern Michigan, and your pH of your water is coming out of the tap at 9, the regular number 4 or the regular number 8 would probably be a better soil with with 1-shot added to
just do that. Okay.
Building that reserve for nutrition versus bringing in 4-shot where the limestone we put in there plus the limestone in your water might compound on itself.
So have the LEDs gotten better, or people got better at using them? What happened? Because it seemed like the LEDs were kind of a controversy of like, maybe not, and people were looking at other solutions. So what's happened there?
Technology, and
it's just gotten better.
Finally advanced, and the studies have been being performed, and now there's actual test results that have come out. There's some leading LED companies in our country that have been doing this stateside for quite some time. And those are the ones who would be the controversial ones. Bless their hearts, they're still in business. They're still advancing forward with the new technology. But with the technology these new LEDs even have, with the UV light attachments and the different spectrums you can dial in and out and the different strengths, you can really cater to the exact growth and the exact time these plants are in. And I'm seeing yields that are just crushing. I'm seeing quality that's just through the roof. And I'm also seeing plants that are starving to death or overrun, overgrown, and just
they can't
be managed because a lot of people aren't ready for the LED technology or how to stay with it. So it's just an interesting interesting realm we're in. But this this one shot definitely helps any of these potting soils or anything that's out there that you just aren't getting enough feed into. It's a nice, slow, gentle release, but a constant, so the plants are always staying fed no matter whether or not you're on top of the feeding or lacking the feeding.
So, would you switch to LEDs just for everybody, or is this a yield situation?
No, I don't believe in one shirt size fits all by any means. So no, because it's about space, it's about financial, it's about environment. It's there's a lot of variables there. I still have customers and farms that tried some LEDs, went back to double-endeds, and still getting the numbers they want. So it really is just. I think there's a lot to it. I think the guys who want to perform for yield, I think LEDs are the way to go.
Yeah.
But I also think you better be prepared to feed them like you've never fed them before, and you really kind of have to manage it on a whole different landscape. I mean, it's a different beast altogether. Everybody I know that's gone to LEDs are happy, but it was a huge learning curve of about 2 crops of really understanding how they work, the PFD, the humidity spikes, the hot, cold, their HVAC systems, how it all works together, because it doesn't put out the same heat as a double-ended bulb. It doesn't, it doesn't have the same environmental impact as our standard HPSs and metal halides. So it's a learning curve, but I think once you get past the curve, it's a game changer as far as your yield and everything.
But it's more complicated than just feed them more.
Yeah.
What with humidity in those situations? Okay. Sure. All right.
Yep. And I know a lot of people that are just mixing them to get that growth, that energy, and that penetration with LEDs, and then doing a row of double-endeds or ceramic metal halides right down the center. And so they're getting even a broader spectrum. They're getting less intense light across the canopy, but they're getting more even light across the canopy as far as mixing and blending the spectrums. I think those are pretty manageable because you're not just 100% in with LEDs and trying to manage the plant's uptake of nutrition. And plants eat a lot when it comes to these LEDs. I've never seen anything like it, where we're seeing 150 parts per million left in the soil after a 1,200 parts per million feeding, and just can't keep on top of food.
Just can't keep.
So one shot helps them get over that hump.
So if you're trying to move to LEDs or something like that, you almost have to do some sort of supplemental feeding with the one shot until you get it sorted out, and probably for the long haul.
I would say so.
Yeah.
From everybody I'm dealing with those, that's the consensus is more food, and then it enhances everything else. So if you've got alkalinity issues, it's going to make your alkalinity more available. If you have acidic issues, it's going to make that more available. So there's just be prepared to do a little bit more thinking.
Okay.
Once it's figured out, be prepared to just fill jars faster, because the yields definitely go up. The quality doesn't go away. If anything, we're seeing enhanced terpene profiles, more oil content, higher trichome production. We're seeing just a better result from the grow.
When people are doing mixed lighting, like a CMH and some LEDs, are they trying to learn, or are they thinking they're getting better quality out of the broader spectrum? Or they just don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to figure it out.
I think some guys they're doing it because they could only afford every other row of LEDs to start, and they're not disappointed with the turnout. Some guys can't control a full LED room because the energy's too much as far as the plant's energy. So they dumb it down with these ceramic metal halides to kind of create cold veins through the room, so they're not all just crackheads. Again, it's one of those where every grower is going to be a little different. Every environment's going to have a different reason behind what they're doing. At the end of the day, I don't think many people are disappointed in what they're getting from them.
So it's just a paradigm shift. It's just a paradigm shift. Things have changed. You got to figure it out now if you want to do that.
Welcome to the new world. That's what we're doing. Everything's changing, and it's like in the nutrition world, there's nothing new under the sun. Under the sun, the technology is changing, so the sun is changing.
Sure, it makes everything different.
And when we developed Nectar, we didn't develop it for 2022's LED technology. We developed it for a metal halide bulb that looked like it could go to stadium light at Austin Stadium. So,
but for a plant, and so.
Yeah. So, it's just an interesting time for that.
Yeah. Okay. That's a show. That's a good one.
I think so.
Yeah. The OCG Fam Show. It's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.